Hey everyone, Dominic here with the Raving Hordes Game Club in Saskatoon. This time, it's Plains War 2019, Game 3. For Game 3, we played Frontline Clash with Hold the Ground Secondary. My third round opponent for this one was Saurian Ancients. Here's a quick look at the deployment. For Vampire Covenant, we have a unit of Barrow Knights, some Wraiths, Black Coach, unit of Barrow Guard with Sword and Board, full command, Legion standard. In that unit is the Barrow King BSB as well. Next to that, we have a unit of Sword and Board Skellies, full command, Legion standard. There's a Necromancer in the unit, as well as a Banshee. Next to this, we got a unit of Halberds Skellies, no command, and nothing in it. Behind that, there's a unit of Great Bats. And lastly, over here, we have a unit of, these ones are Spear Skellies, these ones are Sword and Board Skellies. And in this unit, there's also another Necromancer, and the Army's General is Independent Bloodline Vampire. For Saurian Ancients, he's got a unit of Ramphadon Riders. He's got I believe this one's a character on a Taurosaur, two other Taurosaurs, and a unit of Jungle Swarms, three different units of Saurian Warriors. There's I believe it's just a Skink on a Palanquin in the back, and I think he was Serpent Mark. He's got another unit of Jungle Swarms. He's got another unit of Jungle Swarms over here, and finally some Ramphadon Riders on the far side. Of course, he's got some Skink Hunters as well, or not some Skink Hunters, these are Chameleons. And that's kind of after Vanguards there. Both his units kind of vanguarded around a little bit. Vampires decided to drop after a little while, and I took first turn. Let's get into it. So yeah, here's a quick look at the table. I'm more or less using my right side flank just to pivot around and bringing that little bit stronger, faster moving left flank around to the other side there. We go into magic phase, and I can't remember what we do. I think we try and raise some skeletons here, get a few into the units, not too many more, and that's pretty much it. I think he stopped everything else that I was trying to cast, but the most part was just getting some more skeleton bodies. So we go into turn 1 for Saurian Ancients. He moves up the Chameleons as well as one unit of Ramphadon Riders. Kind of shifts up the line. He's got the Great Bow. I think this one's the Arcane one. So he's just going to take some shots at me. Goes into Magic. He tries to do some hits here, which I believe I stopped. And then he tries to do, with Swarm of Insects, I guess, stop Swarm of Insects, and then he tried to do the Hereditary one as well. I stopped that one. Then he brings on a Totemic Summons back here. Finally goes into shooting. I think he knocked off some skeletons. And that's pretty much it. That's what the table looks like as we go into turn 2 for the Vampire Covenant. So over here, I just decided that the Totemic Summons is really too much of a worry. I parked that Black Coach so that it can go into the rear, but at this point, I really wasn't worried about it. Should be able to take care of it. I move up the Wraiths over here. One of the units he had marked with the Ramphadon Riders was these Barrow Knights. So just to protect them, I made sure he had the flank charge over here and parked them too close so that he wouldn't even be able to contact. The Wraiths are kind of protecting them there. So, and I moved up the Bats over here just to kind of chaff in front. The Sword and Board Skellies turn around to face the Ramphadon Riders. I'm hoping I can bait charge them in. and the rest of the lines kind of move up. This unit is pretty much parallel with the Barrow Knights, but they are, or the Barrow Guards, sorry, but they aren't, just because of this fence is in the way. Go to Magic phase. We do Mark for Doom on the character one. It goes off, causes a wound, but he ward saves it before it becomes anything else. We do Pentagram of Pain on the closer Amphion Riders and knocks off one of them. And that's pretty much it. That's the table looks like as we go into turn 2 for Saurian Ancients. So just like I kind of thought, they do fail that check and they go right in. And that's it for charges that he had. Again, he continues shimmying the 3 Taurosaurs over, which looks mighty impressive and scary on the one side of the table. Moves up the Ramphadon Riders kind of behind my lines, and the one Totemic Summons moves up behind the Dark Coach, but doesn't get into contact with it. He kind of counter chaffs, I suppose, the chaff. Moves up the blocks. They don't really want to get engaged with my big blocks because that's a grind that they won't win. And we go to Magic. He knocks off with the Swarm of Insects, takes care of a couple more of the Bat Swarm. Or sorry, the Great Bats. And I think he does shooting over here. Tries to knock off some shots, and I think he actually does a wound to the coach. Yeah. We go into combat, and the vampire just wipes the unit before they even get to swing. And pivots on the spot like so. So that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 3 for the Vampire Covenant. So start of this turn, the Barrow Knights back here declared a charge against Snake Swarms, or against the Jungle Swarms, I guess. Didn't suffer any dangerous terrains. The Wraiths have got plenty of move to come over here and do their sweeping attack, and then face the Totemic Summons. We do that damage. They took, I think, killed it outright, actually. It either killed it outright or they panicked off the board. Either way, Dark Coach continues moving up, as do the Lions. They continue shifting towards the center, just to get within 6 for the Hold the Ground secondary. Another thing that I had done is I had moved the Banshee. I was slowly moving it over from this unit I think it started in. I moved it over to this unit, and then finally marched it through over here to cause a hit and do some shots at those chameleons. We go into Magic phase, and we get Mark for Doom on this Taurosaur again, which I believe goes off and caused 2 wounds. We do Hand to Glory, just in case he wants to try and do those charges, makes it a little bit less attractive, and off gets the sacrifice for the whole unit. We go into shooting. We only cause 2 wounds to the chameleons, and they pass their panic. Over here in combat, we wipe out the Snake Swarm, or the Jungle Swarm, and we just kind of stay pretty much exactly where I was. In the movement, at this point, I realized that I had forgotten to move this Bat Swarm out in front to get in this way again, but that's alright. And that's what the table looks like. So this is turn 3 for Saurian Ancients. Again, he moves up all 3 of those Taurosaurs, keeping them in close formation. Chaffs up this unit with the chameleons. Moves one of the 2 remaining Snake Swarms, or Jungle Swarms, out in front of my lines. Moves the other Jungle Swarm unit in front of those Barrow Knights. And shifts 2 of the Saurian Warrior units to face those Knights. This turn, that Totemic Summons did go into the rear of this Dark Coach. And I forget where this is from. I believe this is in Magic this time. He did the Swarm of Insects, knocked off a couple Wraiths, and I forget where else. I believe this here was from the Hereditary spell that he cast, and managed to kill 3 of them. We go into combat, and holy shit. The black coach just whiffs all of his attacks, and this guy puts 1 wound on the coach. So with the wound and the rear charge, he wins by 3, and I explode. So rather unexpected, but I guess that's the game. At this point we go into turn 4 for Vampire Covenant. I actually think they're in his magic phase. Doesn't show another picture of it, but I believe he actually brought another totemic summons back here in his magic phase. I can't remember if it was this turn or next turn. But yeah, from this point, we go into turn 4 for Vampire Covenant. The Wraiths walk through that totemic summons and wipe it out. The Knights charge their swarm in the front there. The Halberdier unit, as well as the Sword and Board unit, just pivot on the spot to face this stuff over here. The single Banshee tries to walk through, cause a wound to this. Did actually cause a wound, and then was going to shoot at it. This is the character one with the 2d6 impact hits that I'd like to knock off. That's pretty much it for movement. We go into... This turn I actually remember to move my chaff out in front. And then we go into magic. So for magic, we actually raise a goofy conga line of some zombies out here. And then we did the Aura Pentagram of Pain, which I thought sounded like a good idea, but then I realized, oh right, I just put that goofy conga line worth of zombies, as well as my banshees in that range. So what ended up happening, knocked off the swarm that was in the way, knocked off the chameleons that were here. I think I only killed 1, maybe, zombie, and put 2 wounds on my banshee. Did nothing else to his Taurosaurs. Suffer a few wounds on the skeleton units, but that's really of no consequence. We go into shooting, try to take some shots, didn't do anything, and that's pretty much it for that. I go into this combat up here, I actually whiff, and I still win, so he does suffer some wounds, but doesn't manage to get rid of them completely, so. This is going into turn 4 for Saurian Ancients. So all these 2 Taurosaurs just go into the chaffing zombies. The Taurosaur here goes into the Banshee, which we moved in place of that dice there. And these guys actually declared a charge against a flank of these zombies as well, and failed. Back here, the 1 unit goes into the Great Bat just to get it off the table. And that's pretty much it. He goes into magic phase, tries to cause another wound over here, which I believe he did. This is the turn. He raises another totemic summons on the field, and goes into shooting, or into combat. Gets rid of the bat. I get rid of the jungle swarm. He gets rid of the banshee, as well as the chaffing zombies, and both units make their overrun into my skeleton lord brick. So that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 5 already for Vampire Covenant. I believe. Maybe this is only turn 4, and I forgot to move this, but for combat, or for charges, the Knights go into the 1 unit back. Actually, they declared a charge back here, and he decided to flee. And then they redirected into this unit. He held on that one. The Barrow Guard declared a charge against the flank of this unit, which has actually got his general in there too. And the Halberdier Skeletons declared a charge against the flank of the character Taurosaur. I was hoping that maybe I could just hold him up there for a little bit. And yeah, so I think these guys actually decided to flee. And that's pretty much it. We go into magic phase, and I don't actually remember what happened in the magic phase. I don't think a whole hell of a lot. I think I did maybe Pentagram of Pain. Yeah, I can't quite remember. I actually think it might have been a complete fizzle because I was trying to raise wounds on that Barrel Knight unit, which didn't happen. So, combat, I put 3 wounds on the one Taurosaur, but he beats up on those skeletons, knocks me down to about half of my original starting value. Over here, he beats up on them pretty hard as well, more than was expected. And over here, he was down, but he sticks around. And that's what the table looks like as we go into turn 5 for Saurian Ancients. So turn 5, he was thinking about declaring this charge, but decided it was safer just to get out of the way. This unit rallied, and the Totemic summons random moves into the flank of those Sword and Board Skellies. I think we skipped the magic photo, but in magic again, his spell he managed to get off is Totemic Summons again, so there's another one here in the magic phase. We go into combat. Over here, I do a couple wounds to him, but this time I actually am down, and what happens over here? See, there's guys over there. Oh, that was a picture of the rally. Magic phase, there's the Totemic Summons, and there's them wiping out those Barrel Knights. Yeah, that's kind of what things are looking like over there. Over here, I kill the one Taurosaur. This Taurosaur finishes off his unit of Halberdier dudes. I actually think we skipped a picture here. This is slightly out of sequence. His Taurosaur finished off the Halberdiers in my turn. No, in his turn. Yeah. So in his turn, he finishes them off. And I killed the one Taurosaur. But he's got me down to, it looks like 5 rank and file skeletons over here. And no wounds on the one Taurosaur, and a Totemic Summons on the flank, with this guy coming in the next turn. So this is the start of Vampire Covenant turn 6, I believe. And what we do here is we declared a charge against the Saurian unit over here with the general in it, which would have been a flank charge. He elected to flee, not take the chance. So he's over here. And I think I declared a long charge against this unit of Saurians as well with the Barrel Guard unit, which failed. That's kind of what the table looks like as we go into Magic. So I can't remember. I've tried to do a different spell here. I actually was doing some more damage spells. I think I tried to do the Mark for Doom on this Taurosaur with the character in it, and basically was letting everything else go and just hoping to stop the Arise, which I was debating whether or not even to cast. Looking back, I probably should have just went with my my original thought and not cared too much about the Arise here, just because it feeds him the extra combat res. But I did it anyway. So we go into that combat. He basically knocks me back down to what I originally raised up. I do kill the one Totemic Summons, but he's got another one on the flank, ready to come in. So that's what that looks like at the end of cleaning up my turn 6. So for Saurian's turn 6, both those guys make it in. This unit up here actually doesn't rally. He continues fleeing. He's well away from the board edge, though, so he's at risk of running away. And his other 2 Saurian blocks just move up. At this point, I've already more than secured the objective, so he's just hoping to grab these points. Goes into Magic. Oh, sorry, that's the failed rally. Goes into Magic, tries to do some more wounds to the Wraiths, which I stop. And we go into combat. And just like I figured, he crushes. I offered up the challenge, so challenge this guy out. He only had 4, but I didn't have nearly enough guys. If I did, I think I did it if I had done one more wound, he actually wouldn't have gotten the general. He had just enough wounds with his combat res to crumble the general due to the ashes to ashes there. So that's where the game ended. That's kind of what things looked like at the end there. We did up the points. It was a 10-10, even draw for points. But I did capture the secondary there. So game ended in a 13-7 for the Vampire Covenant. It was a really fun game. It was really nice to play against. So far, 3 completely different opponents that I normally play against. And some really cool armies out there as well that I don't normally get a chance to face. So, hope you guys enjoy the battle. Stay tuned for round 4.